What's the deal, family? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got another banger for y'all, man. So look, we got Disfigured, Mutilated, and Dead. The turbulent history of slap fighting. Okay, about to run this up one time for the one time, man. And look, I reacted to I did a slap fighting video as a YouTube short. And I got some comments on. I put it on TikTok, Instagram, and on YouTube Shorts. And I got a lot of comments on just talking about how bad, how destructive, how terrible it is. And I mean, shit, we kind of know that. I ain't gonna lie, we kind of already know that. But like, after I did that video, this popped into my homepage, and I said, you know what? We gonna run it up. So we got this video. We gonna talk about it. We gonna see what they say about slap fighting, how dangerous it is, people who died from it apparently, and everything else, man. If you guys got more videos you want me to react to in regards to slap fighting, all that power slap, all that stuff, or anything else that you want me to check out, get at me in the comments. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. Let's get to it.
Accommodate this slap crap, this nonsense.
Barbaric comedy, but it's not funny at the end of the day. Like, it's absurd and it's stupid.
And why it's a problematic money grab by greedy promoters.
Perhaps the most absurd and senseless sport in the world is about to go mainstream.
But this is not my cup of tea.
Speaking of tea, the word slap was first recorded in England around 1632 and refers to the act of striking a person with the open palm of the hand. The purpose of a slap is often to humiliate more than injure, and a slap in the face is a common idiom dating back to the late 1800s that means to rebuke, rebuff, or insult.
Richard! Damn! Oh!
Wow, dude!
It has rarely been utilised as a weapon for knocking someone unconscious. After all, it's far harder to generate the same amount of force.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. As a man, if you get slapped by another man, that's low-key worse than getting socked. You know what I mean? I'd rather you just boom, hit me with the jab, and I'm gonna come back at you with the uppercut hook. I'm gonna come boom, boom. I'm gonna come back at you with the uppercut hook. But you slap me, I gotta shoot your ass. If you slap me, I gotta shoot your ass. So it's like, I'd rather, you know what I mean, get socked and then I'm gonna fight back. But if I get slapped, I feel like I gotta do extras on. You know what I mean? It's worse. It's low key worse, bro.
Is a punch or kick. But this is exactly the crux of why slapping competitions have begun to grab the world's attention. It truly is a Russian roulette as to when someone will be sparked out cold. There is no guarantee.
Oh my god.
According to Black Belt magazine, slap competitions seem to have originated in Russia. It has been claimed that strongmen alternated between slapping each other until someone fell unconscious or gave up. The sport then spread into Eastern Europe, with it being popularised from a series of viral videos starring 375-pound Russian sensation Vasily Kamortisky. Known as Dumpling, Kamortisky was seen in one video knocking a massive opponent unconscious.
Get your fake ass arms up out of here!
30,000 rubles, or roughly $475. From around 2020 onwards, punch-down events have taken place in cities across Poland, which has played a major role in seeing the sport gradually trickle into the Western world. In February 2022, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Logan Paul joined forces to launch the Slap Fighting Championship in the US. The event debuted at the Arnold Sports Festival in Columbus, Ohio between the 2nd and 5th of March 2022. According to the rules, there were 3 rounds with each competitor slapping their opponent once per round. 3 judges then marked the score in order to work out a winner. A knockout was scored if a competitor was unable to continue 30 seconds after being slapped. The event proved to be a success with an abundance of notable highlights.
That job. Here we go. Mad Max.
Bam! Oh my god, he slapped the shit.
Since then, the UFC president Dana White has launched his own version of the show, known as Power Slap. The show was due to premiere on January the 11th, 2023, but was delayed till a week after due to the release of a video in which White slapped his wife in a Mexican nightclub at a New Year's Eve party. And that, my friends, is irony. Upon airing, the show itself was far less popular than originally anticipated, drawing only 250,000 viewers, whilst its professional wrestling counterpart program, AEW Dynamite, was attracting upwards of 1 million. Consequently, on the 13th
You can't compare AEW to Power Slap when AEW was a thing before they brought back AEW. At least I think. I know there was WCW, WWF, WWE, SmackDown, Raw, all that shit. I think AEW was a thing before WCW, and if it wasn't, wrestling already still had, like, you know what I mean? So you can't really compare that.
March 2023, Warner Media and TBS representatives confirmed to media sources that the network will no longer air Power Slap following the first season finale.
Oh, man. Oh. Is he knocked out?
Now, in the show's short shelf life, it has received a torrent of criticism and created controversy, primarily concerning the health of the participants. I have already made a video in which I cover chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, a disease which arises when an individual receives consistent blows to the head, so do check that out if you want an in-depth breakdown of the topic. Anyway, it's believed that this new sport unnecessarily exposes participants to the risk of developing CTE as they simply wait to be struck without protecting themselves. Many specialists have pointed to one of the show's contestants displaying the fencing response after being struck, an indication of serious brain injury. In addition, a number of combat sport athletes also had a negative view on the ordeal, with boxer and WBC champion Ryan Garcia calling Power Slap a horrible idea and saying it needed to be stopped. Meanwhile, UFC fighter Sean O'Malley stated that he refused to watch Power Slap due to its association with brain injuries. Nevertheless, Dana White fired back at his critics with this.
But in slap, they take 3 to 5 slaps per event. Fighters in boxing take 300 to 400 punches a fight. And guess what? You know what my answer to that is? If you don't fucking like it, don't watch it.
On February the 6th...
This is what I'm going to say. When boxing first came around, and I'm talking old boxing, bro, they used to go... This is how boxing used to be, if you don't know. They used to go as many rounds as needed until somebody wasn't able to keep fighting, right? Boxing used to go 15 to 20 rounds until so many people were dying from it that they had to drop it down to 12 rounds. Because they figured that's the longest people could go before now we're starting to like just kill people off, basically. The argument against that was, well, we're in a more informed time and people know more and we're more careful about these things. At the end of the day, there's a lot of shit people do that's dangerous as hell. People die from it. You can look at NASCAR and people who do racing events. You can look at a lot of things. You know, there's people who die from boxing. Modern boxing who die. CTE, all of that. The only thing I can say to that is that on paper, he's right. Yeah, you know, you're doing 3 slaps versus, you know, taking 100 punches from some big ass 240-pound dude or something, right? So on paper like that, it makes sense. Now, in terms of if he does this for 5 to 10 years, what are the effects of the people who were doing it those first few years? We haven't seen that yet. So yeah, it might not be the best thing in the world, but it is a slap instead of a punch. It is only 3 slaps instead of multiple punches over the course of rounds. Is there a level of danger to it? Of course. But people watch bare knuckle fighting. If you've never watched bare knuckle fighting, they fight with no gloves and they just punch the shit out of each other as hard as they can. If you have no quarrels or nothing to say against that, then personally, I don't believe that you should be having any quarrels, anything to say against power slap. If you think bare knuckle fighting is fine and it's okay and it's cool, then power slap is okay. If you put bare knuckle fighting at the same or even a worse level than power slap, then okay, that's your opinion, that's your point of view. I can't argue against you. But that's just my thoughts on that. Because plenty of people love bare knuckle fighting, and that's essentially way worse than power slap could ever be. Logistically. So that's my thoughts on that one.
16th, 2023, things got even worse for power slap as two congressmen, Bill Pascrell and Don Bacon, announced that they were launching a congressional inquiry into the ethicality of power slap. Both have publicly voiced their disdain for the organisation for turning the brutal spectacle into entertainment. Furthermore, in early March, the Florida Athletic Commission has stalled a request to open a slap fighting league pending advice from medical experts. It seems that the rapid expansion of the sport has begun to falter. So, let's address Dana White's claim that boxing is more dangerous than slapping contests. Well, firstly, in boxing you're taught to camouflage your punches so that you can set up a big punch. If a person winds up too much, then the opponent will often be able to identify it as a threat and slip, duck, or even block it. It's therefore a complex skill to land a massive hit with a person's full force behind it, and doesn't happen all that regularly. On the other hand, in slapping competitions you are able to wind up, and the other person just has to brace themselves to take it. As the training improves and people deliver more powerful slaps, things can only get worse. Ultimately, when these guys get knocked out, it's a proper concussion, like one from being hit with a baseball bat. This fact was all too evident at one particular competition held in Poland, named Punchdown 5. David Zalewski faced Artur Walczak in a bitter slapping duel on October the 20th.
Yo, that nigga is dead.
Second, 2021, which resulted
Oh
in
my
Arthur
God, this
suffering
nigga
a
died
cerebral
too.
hemorrhage and unfortunately passing away. A monumental slap from Zalewski had severely damaged his brain, compelling doctors to put him into a drug-induced coma from which he would never wake up. The second point that leaves slapping as a far more dangerous endeavour than boxing is the variation in rounds across the multitude of organisations. In boxing, the maximum of 12 rounds rule has been somewhat standardised, yet certain slapping federations don't impose stringent limits upon how long a bout can go on for. This obviously leads to more horrific injuries and long-term consequences. In late January of 2023, a man was left with a disfigured face after a brutal 30-minute slapping contest. The bout was held in Romania, where the Romanian MMA promotion organisers allowed the striking to continue for 10 rounds unchecked.
10 rounds?
Hamza Sorin's face was left...
Okay, 10 rounds is crazy. We can't demonize... Okay, I see what this guy's doing. He's trying to use Dana White's analogy on power slap alone. Right? He's using Dana White's analogy that he had about power slap alone, the company he runs, right? And this guy used that same analogy against him, but incorporating other companies that is not power slap. And with that, I agree with him. But I also got to say, I do agree with Dana White, where he's only talking about power slap. He's not talking about slap fighting and all this other, and 10 rounds and all this other stuff. So you gotta, you gotta look at it that way. You gotta weigh the opinions, because what this guy is using is trying to use one guy's statement about one singular event that happens and tries to use that against him using other events that dude never mentioned. He's slick with it though. If you don't catch it, you won't understand that, but that's what he's doing. And so when it comes to the other companies that maybe have less of a reason to worry about the fighters' safety, yeah, they're probably doing it the wrong way. 100% doing it the wrong way. But let's not use those other companies to compare a statement from a guy who's only talking about his own company. That does it a little bit different, in a safer way. Just throwing that out there. You ain't gotta like it. You might agree with what I'm saying. You might disagree, but on that end, we gotta be objective, and that's what he's going with right now.
Completely disfigured and covered in blood after 30 minutes of indefensible slaps from his opponent. It often isn't the fingers that are connecting with the opponent's face, but instead it's the palm, which does somewhat emulate a punch. The prolonged periods of unchecked hits is simply a recipe for disaster. The third big problem is the fact that, in certain countries, the rules seem to allow a person's entourage to hold them up after receiving a massive hit. This obviously prevents the body's defense mechanism of shutting down or being knocked out from doing exactly what it is there to do, protect the recipient. This can obviously lead to head trauma being repeatedly worsened throughout a bout, contributing to the individual developing CTE. Ultimately, different organisations have adopted a variety of safety measures to try and protect the participants in slap competitions. This has ranged from implementing the compulsory wearing of earplugs and mouth guards to putting spotters in place to stop a person's head hitting the floor once they fall. But this has appeared to have little effect in protecting the slapping individuals or dampening the widespread criticism from the press and leading experts. In spite of all this bad press, the recent months have seen unprecedented growth in the sport, with leagues arising in the UK, Nigeria, Germany and Southeast Asia. Even betting companies such as DraftKings has determined the sport to be safe enough to hold bets on, and is now operating in 9 US states. So what do you guys think? Could this become the new MMA, boasting a global reach and adoring fans? Or will it simply slump under the weight of the negative public opinion? Let me know in the comments, and as always, please leave a like and subscribe if you're new.
Well, that's it, man. Disfigured, Mutilated, and Dead. The turbulent history of slap fighting. And like I said, man, look, is the shit dangerous? Extremely. Is it the worst thing in the world? No. Does it take time for different, with combat sports, it takes time for whoever the company or whoever, whatever the organization it is to essentially, quote unquote, perfect the way that they hold their events and their fights and all that. It's gonna take time. When UFC first came around, it was a lot of bullshit going on. People thought UFC was way too dangerous in comparison to boxing. It was reckless. It was destructive behavior. People were dying, getting CT, all that stuff. And look at it now. So it takes time for all that stuff, man. Yeah, you can judge it immediately off rip, or you can, embrace it and see, how it plays out down the line. But that's it. Y'all let me know what y'all think of power slap fight, and all that stuff in the comments. Get at me more videos to react to. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Remember to keep it real. Real is rare. Real always reaches everyone. And I'm going to see y'all next time. Peace.